This short tutorial is going to show how to create and utilize a mask that covers multiple customizable image fields at once. So the mask category functionality that we explained in an earlier tutorial, so ME013, applies to adding a separate mask to each image field. Here we'll learn how we can use a separate clip art image to mask multiple image fields at once. So as you can see on the screen here, I've done a bit of prep work to get ready for this. I've just got a MegaEdit canvas loaded up in the MegaEdit editor, and I've got a couple of empty image frames, which in this case I have pre-sized, so they're in the correct location for my purpose. But there's not much else being done, they are just empty image fields. What I've also done is uploaded an additional piece of clip art, which is a PNG, and we've got a transparent center to that piece of clip art. So you can see there's two sections on that little thumbnail there which are dark blue, same color as the background. Those are transparent sections of that piece of clip art. So what that means if I drag that clip art onto my canvas is that those two sections, I can completely see through them, and the clip art itself can then be used as a frame as such, as a mask in its own right. So before we start getting into positioning all of these correctly, we need to make sure that we've also configured the behavior of these correctly. When these are all in place, we don't want the user to be able to interact with the clip art at all. So they should only be able to interact with the image fields that are behind it. So as such, as we've seen in previous tutorials, I'm just going to specify do not select. As for the image fields, we may want to put some restrictions on those as well. So the same methodology, double click, go to the Details tab, and then we can specify what the user is allowed to do. So for example, I could say that's a fixed position. They're not allowed to change the size. They're not allowed to delete. And then there's other options we could do, such as hide the ability to shadow and mask and border. We could fine tune these capabilities. I'll do the same for this one. We also want to make sure that our Z order arrangement is correct, which it does seem to be in this case, just to make sure that our clip art mask that we're generating or we're utilizing is in front of the image fields. If this wasn't the case by default, just double click on any of the fields and then you've got the arrangement options here. So I'm just going to move that clip art mask into place. And then we're going to go to Emulate User mode by clicking on Menu and Emulate User, just to make sure that this is performing as we expect it to. So the user is able to interact with this as we want them to interact with it. So if I go to Emulate User mode, I can click on there and see that I can't actually get the clip art selected, so that's working as it should be. I can't move the image frames, but I can still rotate it, which might be an additional setting we would look at in the future. And most importantly, I can still add images to those frames. So if we go to the Images tab and start populating the image fields with images.